So now we shall be starting with modern theory of cost. Now let us understand what is modern theory of cost. The U-shaped cost curves with only one level of optimal output of the traditional theory have been questioned by several economists on theoretical as well as on empirical grounds. There are several factors which force a firm to build in reverse capacity, thereby changing the shapes of cost curves. Firms which produce products having a stable demand growth like steel, aluminium, cement, etc. Must provide for excess capacity, otherwise the firm will not be able to meet additional demand requirement at lower cost. Reserve capacity gives greater flexibility for repairs of broken down machinery without disrupting the smooth flow of the production process. The reserve capacity enables the firm to meet seasonal as well as cyclical fluctuations in demand with no additional holding cost. Reserve capacity also allows the firm to make minor changes in the product to suit the changing taste and requirements of the customers. Reserve capacity enables the firm to use better technology, allowing them to produce more whenever their need arises. The reserve capacity in land building and scarce skilled human resources allows the firm to expand their operations smoothly. So, the modern cost theory states that it is a U-shaped curve. U-shaped curve and with only one level of optimal output of the traditional theory, and have therefore been questioned by several economists on theoretical as well as on empirical grounds. There are several factors which force a firm to have a built-in reserve capacity, thereby changing the shapes of the cost curve. So firstly, firms having a stable demand of growth like steel, aluminium, cement, etc. must provide for excess capacity, otherwise the firm will not be able to meet additional demand requirements at lower cost. Then reserve capacity gives greater flexibility for repairs of broken down machinery without disrupting the smooth flow of the production process. Then reserve capacity enables the firm to meet seasonal as well as cyclical fluctuations in demand with no additional holding cost. So all these things are included in the modern cost concept. Then the reserve capacity in land building and scarce skilled human resources allows the firm to expand their operations smoothly. Then next we shall be understanding about long run costs under modern theory of cost. The shape of the LAC curve has attracted the attention of economists due to the serious policy implications of large-scale production. Several arguments have been put forward to explain why the LAC curve is L-shaped rather than U-shaped. L-shaped shape of LAC implies that if it does not rise even at a very large scale of output, according to modern economists, it was unrealistic to expect the emergence of diseconomies at least over the scales of production which are generally operated in the real industrial world. Modern theorists contend that in the long run, the average cost comprise of production and marginal costs of production. Production costs fall steeply to begin with, and then gradually as the scale of production increases, the reduction in the production cost is the result of technical economies of large scale production which are considerable in the initial phase of production. The problem of relatively decreased economies of scale at higher scales of operations can be overcome by the invention of new techniques in the modern world of rapid technological change. This is not difficult, but as the production cost falls smoothly at very large scale of production, this fall in technical costs according to components of the modern approach offsets the probable rise of marginal costs at very large scales of output. This is shown in figure 1.11. So the L-shaped LAC curve. So how the curve of LAC is equal to LMC. and how the L shape rather than being U shape. The LAC curve implies that it does not rise even at a large scale of output. So figure 1.11, the LAC continues to fall till a minimum optimum scale OQ, beyond which it becomes constant, indicating that the economies and diseconomies of large scale balance each other after the optimal level. So it continues to fall to a very minimum optimal scale OQ, beyond which it becomes constant, indicating that the economies and diseconomies of large scale balance each other after optimal level of output. Here, the LMC curve lies below the LAC curve until the optimal scale OQ is reached. Thereafter, the LMC continues. Thereafter, the LMC continues. LM, the LMC coincides with the LAC curve for higher level of output. So this was about the LAC curve, how the cost and the output keep on changing, and the products which are there shall keep on, the price which is there shall keep on rising depending upon the economies and diseconomies. Now next we have revenue concepts. Apart from consumers, producers or sellers of goods are very much concerned with the demand for a good, because revenues obtained by them from selling the goods depends mainly upon the demand for the goods. Therefore, the producer is interested in knowing what sort of demand curve faces him. The demand curve of the consumers for a product is the average revenue AR curve. From the standpoint of the sellers, since the price paid by the consumers is revenue of the sellers. Total revenue TR, average revenue AR, and marginal revenue. So now what is the concept of revenue? Revenue means the cost or the things which are mainly depends upon the demand of goods. So the small costs which are incurred upon these things. So total revenue TR. TR refers to the total amount of sale receipts received by a seller by selling a certain amount of a commodity over a period of time. The TR is obtained by multiplying the total quantity of a commodity sold by its price per unit at which it is sold. Symbolically, TR is equal to P into Q, where TR is the total revenue, P is the price, and Q is the quantity. So, for the purpose of finding total revenue, multiplying price with quantity, we shall be able to obtain total revenue. For instance, if the price per unit of a commodity is rupees 50, and if 250 units of the commodity are sold at this price, then TR is equal to 50 into 250, which is equal to rupees 12,500. It is obvious that when the sales of the goods in question increase, the TR increases. This shows that the slope of the TR curve is always positive. TR curve rises from left to right whenever it is possible to sell more units of the goods at a constant price, as under conditions of perfect competition. TR rises at a constant rate. In this case, the TR curve is a straight line originating from the origin TRC in figure 1.12. In the case of imperfect competitions, monopoly or monopolistic competition, the firm can sell more quantity of its output only by reducing the price. Thus, though TR increases with an increase in the sales, the rate of increase steadily declines. Therefore, TRM in figure 1.12. So see, in figure 1.12, they have given how the total revenue, quantity and price keep on changing, and how these curves are to be checked. So with this we can understand, with this curve we can understand that the TRC, that is this TRC is a straight line originating from point O. and TRM starts but it goes vertically, and it keeps on reducing as the output is changing. So now after this, let us understand about average revenue. Now what do you mean by average revenue? The price paid by the customers for a product forms the revenue or income of the seller. The whole income is received by the seller from selling a given amount of the product is called TR. AR is revenue earned per unit of output. So since AR is equal to TR upon Q, TR is equal to P into Q. Therefore, AR is equal to P into Q upon Q. AR is equal to, therefore, the price. So, for instance, if TR obtained, that is the total revenue obtained by a firm selling 15 units of a commodity is rupees 150. Rupees 150, then AR is equal to TR upon Q, that is 150 upon 15, which is equal to AR is 10. Since the buyer's demand represents graphically the quantity demanded or purchased by the buyers at various prices of the goods, it is also therefore shows that the AR at which the various amount of the goods are sold by the sellers. This is because the price paid by the buyers is revenue from the seller's point of view. Hence, AR curve of the firm is really the same thing as the demand curve of the consumers. So, average revenue, for average revenue, we shall divide total revenue upon quantity. Once we divide total revenue upon quantity, we shall get average revenue. So, now let us understand about the marginal revenue. Now, what is marginal revenue? As we know, marginal means one additional unit. So, let us understand how the marginal revenue keeps on changing with the additional unit of the product. MR is the net revenue earned by selling an additional unit of the product. In other words, MR is the addition made to total revenue by selling one more unit of a commodity. For instance, consider the following table 1.2. So quantity is 10 units, then total revenue is 150 units, average revenue is 15, so marginal revenue is not required. Then if we increase 1 unit, that is the 11th unit, so in that case Q is equal to 11, then TR is 154, then AR is 40, so MR is 4. How did we come to know this? Let us understand that. MR11 is equal to TR11 minus TR10. The marginal revenue of the 11th unit 4 is the difference between the total revenue of the 11th unit 154 and TR of the 10th unit 150. To generalize MRN is equal to TRN minus TRN minus 1. Marginal revenue also be expressed as MR is equal to TR upon Q, where TR is change in total revenue and Q is the change in quantity. Thus, marginal revenue is the change in total revenue associated with the change in the quantity sold. So, average revenue and marginal revenue under perfect competition. So, if there is perfect competition in the market, then in such case, how we should recognize it? Under perfect competition, the demand curve facing an individual firm is perfectly elastic. That is horizontal to the x-axis at the height of a given price. Under perfect competition, an individual firm cannot influence a given market price, so it is a price taker since the price is beyond the control of a firm. AR remains constant, that is the price remains constant as more and more units are sold. So the addition made to the TR by selling every additional unit of a commodity will always be equal to the given price. Hence, MR will also remain constant and will be equal to AR. So, under perfect competition, the demand curve facing an individual firm is perfectly elastic and it is horizontal to x-axis at the height of a given price. Under perfect competition, individual firm cannot influence the market price. So let us understand with the table how this can be calculated. So Q, that is number of units sold, is 1. Then AR is 5. Then the average price is 5. Then TR, that is P into Q. So what is the price? 5. And what is the quantity sold? 1. So this 5. Then next we have the quantity sold is 2. So we have price 5. It is 10. So 5 rupees is the difference. Then 3. 3 into 5 is 15. Then 4 into 5 is 20. 5 into 5 is 25 and 6 into 5 is 30. So everywhere we can see that the every additional unit we are seeing a marginal return of marginal revenue of rupees 5. That is a change of 5 units in every additional unit. So the above table 1.3 shows that TR increases at a constant rate as more and more units are sold. The table also shows that MR of a firm is always equal to AR or price under perfect competition. TR, AR and MR under conditions of perfect competition can be graphically shown as follows. AR is equal to MR is equal to price. So in the above figure 1.13, TR moves upwards to the right. Its slope is constantly positive at 45 degrees. So here we can understand that TR moves upwards to the right and it is 45 degrees and is at positive. Then AR curve in this case is horizontal straight line parallel to the x-axis, and horizontal straight line AR curve indicates that price of AR remains at the same at OP level even when quantity sold is increased. MR curve coincides with AR curve since MR is equal to AR. Now, AR and MR under imperfect competition monopoly. So, when imperfect competition prevails, that is monopoly, there is an individual seller only in the market. When imperfect competition prevails in the market for a product, an individual firm producing that product faces a downward sloping demand curve. That is, as a firm working under conditions of imperfect competition increases production and sale of its product, its price declines. When AR or price declines, MR falls. So the net addition made to TR will be less than the price or AR. Hence, the TR of a firm working under conditions of imperfect competition increases at a diminishing rate. This is shown in the following table 1.4. So let us understand. Firstly, when there is a zero output, that is quantity, the price is not there. So MR also shall be 0. As we increase, the first quantity's price is 10. Then TR is also 10 and MR is also 10. Then next we have two quantities. The price is 19. So the price is dropping 19. So 9 2s are 18. 18. So 8 rupees is the MR. Then similarly we go on increasing. So as we go on increasing, the rate goes on decreasing. So even that total revenue also increases, and with that the marginal revenue also increases. Decreases. So we can understand that after a certain point it should go to 0 and then it should start falling to become negative. The above table 1.4 shows that price or AR is falling as additional units of the product are sold. MR also declines and is less than AR. TR increases at a diminishing rate. When TR is maximum, MR is equal to 0, and when TR falls, MR is less than 0 and becomes negative. So AR and MR curves under conditions of imperfect competition can be shown graphically as follows. So below is the table which shows how the AR, MR and TR are under imperfect market competitions. From the above figure 1.14, it can be noted that in all forms of imperfect competition, that is monopoly, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, TR is 0. When no unit is sold, the AR curve facing an individual firm slopes downwards. When a firm lowers the price of its product, its quantity demanded and sales would increase, and vice versa. Therefore, the AR curve is downward sloping and the MR curve also downward sloping lies below it. The fact that MR curve lies below the AR curve indicates that MR declines more rapidly than AR. When 6 units of the product are sold, MR is equal to 0. If quantity sold is increased beyond 6, MR is negative, that is less than 0, that is TR declines. The relationship among TR, AR and MR can be summarized as follows. Initially, TR, that is price into units of commodity sold, increases at a diminishing rate, which with increase in the units of output. Since more units of the commodity can be sold at a lower price, such that MR is positive and downward sloping. When TR is maximum, MR becomes 0. MR becomes negative when TR decreases with the increase in the units of output. MR falls with the fall in AR, but the rate of decrease in MR is much higher than that in AR. MR may be positive, negative or 0, but AR is always positive since negative price is absurd. Relationship between total revenue, total average revenue and marginal revenue. We have seen about that when AR curve falls downwards, the MR curve lies below it or to the left of it. Now the question arises, how far to the left or below will it lie? This will depend on the shape of the AR and MR curves. AR and MR curves are both straight line, a linear demand curve downward sloping. This is shown in figure 1.15. So we can understand in the above figure that when AR and MR curves are both straight line for downward sloping, MR curve will lie exactly halfway between the AR curve and the y-axis. That is, the MR curve will cut the distance between the AR curve and the y-axis in the middle. That is, MR curve will cut any perpendicular drawn from the AR curve to the y-axis at its midpoint. Hence, BC is equal to CA. So, in this figure, we can understand that MR curve, that is this MR curve, are both straight line downward sloping, and MR curve lies exactly halfway between AR and CR. So that is, the MR curve will cut the distance between AR and CR and y-axis in the middle. That is, MR curve will cut any perpendicular drawn from any curve to y-axis at its midpoint. Hence, we can say that BC is equal to CA. Now, if AR curve is convex to the origin, MR curve will also be convex to the origin. This is shown in figure 1.16. It can be seen in the figure above, figure 1.16, that when AR curve is convex to the origin, MR curve will also be convex to the origin. The MR curve will cut any perpendicular drawn from AR to y-axis more than halfway, as measured from the AR curve. That is, MR curve cuts the perpendicular line AB at point L, which is to the left of the midpoint C. Hence, BL is greater than LA. So, we can see that BA is greater than LA. If AR curve is concave to the origin, then the MR curve will also be concave to the origin. This shows in figure 1.17. It can be seen in the above figure 1.17 that when AR curve is concave to the origin, the MR curve is also concave to the origin. The MR curve will cut any perpendicular drawn from AR to the y-axis less than halfway, as measured from AR curve. That is, MR curve cuts the perpendicular line AB at point L, which is to the right of the midpoint C. Hence, BL is smaller than LA. So, in this we can see that BL is smaller than LA. is greater than LA. TR, AR, MR, TR and elasticity of demand. The relationship between AR, MR, TR and elasticity of demand is shown in the following figure. In the above figure, figure 1.18, it can be seen that OQ level of output MR is equal to 0. TR is maximum at point H. Beyond OQ level of output MR is negative. The TR declines, therefore the producer will not produce beyond OQ level of output at point P. Corresponding to OQ level of output, E is equal to 1. P is the midpoint. Therefore, the seller under imperfect competition will produce and sell a level of output which corresponds to the elastic portion of his downward sloping demand curve. If the quantity is greater than OQ, it will correspond to the portion of AR curve where E is greater than 1. Marginal revenue is negative because MR goes below the x-axis. Likewise, if the quantity is less, then OQ is greater than 1 and MR is positive. This means that if greater quantity than OQ is sold, the TR will be diminishing. For a quantity less than OQ, the TR will be increasing. Thus, TR will be maximum at point H where E is equal to 1, unit elasticity and MR is equal to 0. The relationship between AR, MR and elasticity of demand, which is extensively used in the theory of pricing, can be expressed in the form of a formula where E is equal to AR upon AR minus MR, MR is equal to AR E minus 1 upon E and AR is equal to MR E upon E minus 1. Thus, for E is equal to 1, MR is equal to 0. This is very useful relationship. Your total revenue is not affected by change in price. Where elasticity is greater than unity, MR is positive but less than AR. Where elasticity is less than unity, MR is negative. It can also be observed from figure 4.7 that as the value of elasticity of demand increases, MR and AR curve become closer and closer to each other. The gap between them reduces to 0 under perfect competition when the demand curve is perfectly elastic. So with this we come to the end of the first chapter, which is cost and revenue. So go through the lesson again and try to understand whatever is explained, and we shall meet in the next class, in which we shall be starting with the next chapter. Thank you, students.